Greetings, community. It's Kevin of NCBD Comics, and I'm here to bring you another edition of Kevin's most anticipated reads tomorrow for New Comic Book Day, 12/27, 2023. This is it. This is the last new comic book day of the year. I'm still trying to get my head wrapped around all this because wow, one, the years went by, and two, I think I know why. I've been reading so many good titles of late, and this, by no exception, this list I'm about to read to you, I think is in part why. It's this year has just flown, and wow, I've been really impressed by some of the reads that I've been reading this year. It's been a privilege to meet so many people, and moreover, to be able to experience stories behind these wonderful stories that I've been reading. And I guess that's what I've been really feeling that in part I've been really blessed in 2023 to be able to share with these people, some of my thoughts on what I've been able to get from these stories and to be able to have them explain to me the overall goal and their gratitude towards individuals like me and you community that read these books. So, wow, it does for me a lot to one share my most anticipated reads as this being the last list of the year, and two, to express to you how much my gratitude towards you for those of which that one watch this on the rewind, and also just as important, if not possibly even a little more, to those that attend on the live, much like Lucrucis. Dude, I always appreciate you being here, and thanks for hanging out with me throughout all 2023. Same with you, Christina. I hope you're doing well. I hope you had a wonderful holiday, and thank you for always sharing the love throughout the community. Mike, dude, you're awesome as always, and I don't think you're mad at all. I think you're angry. Dogs get mad. Just kidding. Dude, you're awesome. I appreciate you. Glad to have you back in the community in the sense of now that you're relocated, to be able to share with the community your reads, your books, and that much that you enjoy. So, dude, uh, a healthy and happy holiday to you. And hey, you know what we're here for? Absolutely. Say hey one another and let's go over this list. Seriously, there's a lot of good reads in here, and there's not a huge list, but all of this and which that I've been enjoying throughout pretty much almost the whole year. So let's start off with Dead by Daylight. This comes out of Titan Comics and is a video game initially, and that is, I guess, trying to do its best to go ahead and translate its idea, its overall plot and theme of the whole game into a comic book. Now, in my own opinion, I think it did it rather well. I don't play the game per se, but at the same point, I've watched Kai play it for over a year now, and now that it's finalizing its final issue 4 of 4, I have like this bittersweetness towards it, because in the sense that this was a book that Kai and I got to share, our, how should I say, opinions, and how we appreciate not only the story, but how we feel it translates from the comic, or from the actual game into the comic, and now from the comic into my own reading. Because like I said, I don't play the game, but I've watched Kai. So I'm really curious because of how issue 3 ended, what's going to happen. And I do know what happens on the game, so I'm curious to see how it works out. So that's Dead by Daylight, issue number 4 of 4 by Titan Comics. And yeah, it's a story of teens that decide they're gonna go ahead and get a little crazy with knives on their community because they get bored. That's kind of the whole thing. It's pretty gnarly. All right, moving out from there, we're gonna go from Titan Comics over to the Marvel area, and that's starting with Marvel Comics Carnage, issue number 2. This has actually been a long story in the telling. When you go back to the whole Venomverse, Death of Venomverse, and you go back before that, what was going on towards the end of Carnage, and you put all that together, what's going on right now, and you end up with Carnage once shedding his weak self, in the sense of getting rid of his mortal symbiote aspect of himself, meaning we're only talking the symbiote somehow was able to succeed without his host. Knowing that it's better to have its host, even though it still makes itself vulnerable, it decides to go ahead and get back with Cletus. On this whole journey, it's been essentially assimilating all these different symbiotes throughout the multiverse and becoming this near indestructible god. It's already challenged and put a good mark on uh on well, again, I don't want to. What I suggest, if you're a huge fan, you already know. And what this is culminating into is Carnage issue number 2 is becoming something of a story that is, if you're new, you're probably going, I'm not liking this. Or if you're looking for something that can stand alone, it necessarily doesn't. You have to have knowledge. And if you don't, it's going to be difficult to enjoy Carnage issue number 2. But for me, I'm chomping on the bit. Moving out from there, we're going to go over to Ghost Rider issue number 21. I've spoken in the past about Ghost Rider and how much, one, I've been enjoying this series. Two, this pretty much made the week. Every time I do a week's list with every month that this comes out, this is a difficult one for me not to put up there on my blue light special. It's been a very consistent read, and I'll get all the way up to issue 21. It's been pretty good. I mean, seriously, it's been super consistent, and I've been just super happy that it hasn't been canceled since we're in issue 21. I've also drawn comparison to this and Blade because of the fact that we get an element to something that we've not seen with a Ghost Rider before, to where it has a love factor that's playing such a huge role in the story. I mean, it's not just another victim or something that could be utilized against Ghost Rider as much as she's carrying her own. It's a pretty interesting story, and I've been loving it all the way through. Coming up on near 2 years now, this story has been solid. So that's why Ghost Rider issue number 21 is really high up there on my list. But moving on from there, we're going to talk over at the Miles Morales Spider-Man issue number 14. Much like in comparison to Ghost Rider, this has been super solid. Every issue has been right up there, and it's also, like I was saying with Ghost Rider, very difficult to not to make this consideration of my blue light special. Now, I know it's drawing in a lot of elements of the gang war and everything else, so it kind of convolutes its ability to stand alone and tell its tale. But at the same point, there's a clarity on what's been going on in all the story that's been told throughout this whole Miles Morales issue 13 and up to this point story. No matter who comes in, who goes out, it's been awesome, and I'm looking forward to when it gets over the Spider-Boy zone. But that being said, Miles Morales Spider-Man issue number 14 is really high up there on my most anticipated reads. But moving out from there, we're going to go over the After Dark comics. Why? Well, they put out the only book that I pretty much buy from them, which is, mouthful, Flesh-Eating Cheerleaders from Outer Space Holiday Special. Hey, I did it. Issue number 1. This book, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of words. Doesn't bother me. Also about the cover B, which is the, how should I say, the explicit version. Just saying. I really enjoyed not only the story of this, but moreover, well, just as much, the art. The art really works. It's not just cheesy. It's just not Girl Flash just for the sake of just being Girl Flash. There's story behind this, but hopefully not this one. So moving out from After Dark comics and the Flesh-Eating Cheerleaders from Outer Space Holiday Special issue number 1, we're going to go over there to the Image Comics, and we're going to finish it off here. We're going to start it off with Image Comics on World Tree issue number 6. This has been really hoary-gory and solid. This has been a story that it really reminds me of the movie Cell, and freaks me out when I read this thing, because I always think of stories like this that they kind of have an element of truth behind them. What scares the F out of me. But that being stated, I've really been enjoying the series overall. The art is solid. The story is solid. The structure, the storytelling. This can easily be a movie. It can easily be a streaming service type film. I mean, this is, yikes. It's really good. It really needs to be adapted like now. And World Tree, issue number 6, is so high up there, my most anticipated read, but it just missed out. Just. Moving on from there, we're going to go over to the Universal Monsters, issue number 3 of 4. Wow. Universal Monsters. This has been so solid. I mean, issue number 1 and 2, I got coming as a connecting cover set, but I already read the both, and they're awesome. It's weird because I kind of go back and forth from being a classic monster fan and not. And it really boils down to, like anything else, how well is the story being told? If it could be told by a great writer in a great way, well, it's just as it says, great. But if it's done in some cheesy classic fashion in sense of outdated forming in your framework of structure and literature, and it just I appreciate it for its time, but at the same point, if you could take a classic story and tell it in a modern way with a twist to be able to captivate your audience, especially by today's standards, well, obviously you got a great book. And that's why Universal Monsters issue 3 of 4 is way high up there on my list. But however, what we're here for is, well, you guessed it, the Blue Light Special. And this week's Blue Light Special is over at the Image Comics Duke, issue number 1. Now, with the whole structure of the Void Rivals giving us what we knew the elements that we're going to be building into this universe, which were Transformers, and now Duke, which is just a small aspect of the whole G.I. Joe / Cobra networking that's going to be even farther into that. I mean, we're talking Transformers, we're talking this Void Rivals, which we know and somehow is going to play a huge, I think it's more than just a history telling of how all this develops. But then we get the whole G.I. Joe thing that's just building in the story, starting with Duke. My God. It's like my whole childhood is starting all over again, but I finally have the ability to afford to buy the things I never could. Seriously, that's where I'm at. So, I mean, it's really high up there on my list. And I think in part the reason why. I've been reading all these small things that have been building up to this universe, and Kirkman, you got me. Hook, line, and sinker. That's why Duke, issue number 1, is my Blue Light Special. Hey, and from the bottom of my heart, I greatly appreciate y'all being here. Seriously, the fact that you guys are here hanging out with me is the reason why I do this. If you weren't here, I'd just talk to myself. And seriously, have a great holiday. I appreciate all of you. Happy New Year's. And that's it for me. Entropy. You stay well.